Hi, I'm Mandi Feely Swain, and this is another episode of Origination Boost. And my friend and just an awesome human, Greg Langhaim, we worked together for 6 years now, and he is an agent here in the market, and he really reinvented himself in the Boise market. And so it's been fun to watch his journey from moving to Boise from a completely different space and starting over again. So it's always been impressive to watch how you do things, and you definitely do it different than every other agent I've ever seen. So let's talk about you. Okay, let's talk about you. How long have you been in the business, the real estate gig, and let's talk about your journey a little bit.
Yeah, so I've been in real estate, been licensed since 2005, so quite a while now,
Yeah.
quite a while. But yeah, it's been through it all, right? You know, the crash, the up, the crash, and then I like to refer to the COVID time like the gold rush. You know, that was just
Yeah.
wild. So
Yeah.
it's been a ride, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you moved, change markets. You've always been kind of a disruptor, which I love about you. Because, I'd say to people that are listening, um, if you feel disrupted by somebody in your market that's a competitor, stay focused on your own gig, and you become a disruptor in your market. Not like a bad disruptor, but you become the one that's making moves and doing things differently. And Greg's done that. Whether you were in Bend, Oregon, or now here in the Boise market. When you came here, you really leaned into like YouTube and social and some other things. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone here. So I had no sphere. I didn't know how. And the market, when I moved here, I didn't know what to expect. The market was pretty strong. The prices were a lot less than they
Right.
are now.
Right.
But there was no FISBOs, there was no really expireds. And so it's pretty competitive, multiple offers. I was submitting multiple offers for my own home, sight unseen, when I was trying to move here. So I thought, wow, it's going to be really tough to kind of get my business going. And I didn't know really how to kind of figure that out other than doing open houses and all that stuff, which, for me was, pulling my eyeballs out. So I thought, what's a good way for people to get to know me? Because I thought if people could get to know me and could hear me and how I could talk and communicate, I think people genuinely they like me. And now
Right.
I'm not trying to pound my
Yeah,
chest
you
on
you
that.
you have
I,
to know Greg has a hard time saying he's good. Like you are not an egomaniac. You're very humble, and I love that too. And so, but yes, you have a big likability factor. I think it's a win for you.
So I thought if I could get myself out there, and so I just started recording videos, which I had never done before. And so I would go into my kids' basement with their bunk beds right in front of me. Sometimes they'd be on them looking at me, wondering what am I doing, and I'd be pinned against the wall and recording this video with a ring light bright in my face and trying to just articulate why I moved to Idaho or why people are moving to Idaho. And then I would just post it out there, and I tried to learn how to post it out there. And then I started getting into YouTube and learning all about how to upload a video onto YouTube. I had no idea how to do that. Well, it just kind of naturally happened where I started doing that more and more, and then people started watching, and I was fortunate. There weren't a lot of realtors at the time doing that. I was kind of blazing the trail here in Idaho,
Yep.
with the YouTube market. And so it kind of blew up quick. And I was so grateful for that. And so that's kind of been my journey. And then I just leaned really heavy into social and the different platforms. And that just kind of grew into something bigger and bigger and bigger, and allowed me to go different directions.
Yeah, so let's talk about your brand, Go Idaho, because I think a lot of people aren't really, they don't know how to brand themselves, and
Yeah.
you really made that a center point of how you run your business, I feel like.
Yeah, so Go Idaho, to me, it was, I've been a lot of realtors, and realtors brand themselves however they want to, but I feel like we're kind of cheesy. We'll do the rooftop, we'll do the house keys, and we'll do our name. But I wanted something that could rally people. I wanted something that could bring people together, that was different, that was unique. And being in the Pacific Northwest, the Sasquatch. Bigfoot was a rally call. Like people could get behind Bigfoot. And so when I thought about like going to Idaho, our journey to go to Idaho, I thought, man, what could rally people to get to Idaho? Bigfoot to me was that iconic, everyone knew who Bigfoot was, and then I just overlaid him over the mountains of the cityscape. And so that became the logo for my real estate was Go Idaho. And it was kind of mysterious. People didn't know, like, what is that,
Yeah.
So it was a conversation piece, and that's kind of like who Bigfoot is. No one really knows. Is he out there? Is he not? Like, what are we doing, But that's kind of been tough also to kind of brand it because it's like, what lane do you go down,
Right.
So it's been super fun. I've had so much fun with it. Doors have just been blasted wide open for me with that logo. But yeah, so that was kind of the rally call, was to get something that I could bring people or bring people around to who've never been to Idaho, who are relocating. They could gravitate to that and be like, okay, let's go Idaho. Like, yes, I'm going to
Yeah,
Idaho.
that's where I'm going. Yeah, I'm on the
Yeah,
team, right? Then
yeah,
you wanted a community of folks and so it's fun because now on your social media presence, you have a group for Go Idaho, and folks can join and they can ask questions, or they can talk about, just things that they learn about Idaho and moving here, and or whatever. I need to find a pediatrician or whatever,
yeah,
right? All
yeah.
kinds of things on the Go
Everything.
Idaho site is a
Yeah.
resource, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of where, yeah, I mean, so exactly. It just was a landing page for people to ask their questions, to kind of connect with other people, to kind of have a safe place you know, to go into, because so many people were coming here and they didn't know, anything. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so are you still doing YouTube, and or you kind of moved out of that and into social, or kind of where are you at? What's going on? Talk to me.
yeah, so I'll be honest, I'm still doing the YouTube. That's just consistent. But man, you get burnt out of
Yeah,
making
yeah,
content every single week, two or three videos a week. You get burnout. So, how often can you talk about the same house or the same floor plan, all that stuff?
yeah,
So I kind of had to dig deep and kind of re-look at my motivation behind these videos. And so, but yeah, the content's still out there. The YouTube videos go out every Tuesday. I've repositioned this year with my YouTube channel because I've realized that, social has completely changed. It's all about interest now. It's what people are interested in. It's not about influencing or influencers. It's just people. Your algorithm is based off of interest. So this year heavily, I'm going more of what Greg's interested in, like in houses, in the real estate world, but also what I'm personally interested in,
yeah.
like every Friday, I partner with a dog rescue, and I'm
Yeah.
posting about
Oh,
these dogs, trying to get them adopted, but that's something that
but that
I'm
you love
interested in.
dogs, and so you're
I love
passionate
dogs.
about that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that makes it
and
easier to talk about and more fun for you, right? And you feel like you're
right.
giving back and doing something good, and
Right, but it's also teaching me where my audience is and where to lean more into and how to tie that. Because with my theme of like Bigfoot, everyone deserves a home. And I believe that these dogs deserve a home as well. And so it kind of ties it all together. So it fits the audience. But one thing that I realized with my YouTube channel was once people came and saw and got the information, they didn't ever have to come back to my channel.
oh,
And
good
so
point. So
so
this
that's
gave
what
them
I
a reason to come back.
right. So I needed to bring my audience back or get new followers onto my channel to give them a reason to watch and to follow a story more
Yeah.
so than just here's a 3-bed, 2-bath in Cuna or an Eagle. So yeah, so this year 2026 is going to look completely different on all the social channels than it has before, just because the way the algorithm is completely shifted.
Well, and it changes all the time. I mean, even when you and I talked 6 years ago, it was a lot different than it is today, right? And so you're constantly having to learn. If you're going to be in that space, I mean, if you're somebody in Nebraska is listening to this, let's say, and they're like an agent, what's your advice? I mean, I feel like you're constantly learning. I feel like
Yeah.
you have had to constantly learn. If you're going to live in that space, you've got to be a learner all the time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you're in Nebraska watching this and you haven't done it, I mean, first thing to do is just start. But I would just say, listen, what are you interested in doing and teaching about real estate or mortgages or whatever it is? And I'd reverse engineer that and I would teach that and teach that and teach that because it's going to come across more authentic because it's coming from your heart. You're not going to
Yeah.
come across trying to sell anything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'd start. And then once you kind of figure that out, of like, okay, then maybe you can start, asking for the sale or something after you've layered with a lot of teaching, a lot of instruction, a lot of free information. Then it might be to say, hey, feel free to reach out if you're looking to relocate to Nebraska or if you'd like me to come and do a home valuation or something like that. But
Yeah.
lead with the free information.
I like that you're finding who your people are, who your tribe is, who you relate to. I like that you're trying to find the demographic of folks, like even dogs, right? Because the people that are dog lovers are dog lovers. It's just the thing. If you love cats, you love cats. I mean, it's just a thing, right? Or horses, whatever. Horse people are the horse people. They all talk the same language. I think it's good. That's really good advice in any sales job, right? Is if you to find the folks that you want to work with. And by doing that, you're not only helping these pups get a new home, but you're finding people that have a genuine interest in something similar to you, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, if you don't know who your audience is, it's going to be hard to sell anything,
Yeah.
You just have to know who your avatar audience is.
Well, and you go back to likability, and I think that that was key because they might not need a house today, but if you have that likability on your channel and they're coming back and they'll call you when they're ready to buy a house, right? You don't they're not looking for a 3 bedroom, 2 bath to your point in Cuna today, but they know Greg and they like you and they like your content and they like the education piece and they like that you're giving back to the community and they have their Sasquatch shirt. And when they get ready to buy a house, they know who to call. And so it takes a long time to build a brand, I think. And I think people should listen to that too. You can't just get in the market and then get out because it takes, I mean, you're 6, 7 years in this plan, right?
Oh yeah, and I'm still trying to figure it out, like what is it,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, but the likability thing is it's kind of what I teach with my team, like when we're doing our lead gen,
Yeah.
with the online leads, we have to be likable because the way I view our online lead platform is it's our storefront. It is our storefront that we're paying rent for every single month, just like, if we had a
Yeah.
store like my mom, growing up, she ran a gift shop. And so when I have when I was a kid, we'd go and run our gift shop, and there's a nice restaurant right next to it, still there today in Bend, called the Pine Tavern. Maybe you and Corey have eaten there. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll
Down
have
there.
to.
Yeah, there's a big pine tree that grows right through the front, right through the middle of the restaurant. So, anyways, my mom's gift shop was right next to that, and so we would wait. And so when people would come in, wait for or check in for the reservation or whatever, they'd come into my mom's store
Yeah.
and they'd browse and look at her things and they'd leave. Well, our lead gen platform was the same thing. People are coming to our store, they're looking, they're browsing, they're not here to buy today, but they're going to leave our store. And so we have to find a way to be likable enough to bring them back and to sell them. And so one thing that we talk about is like the messages that we send out, they can't be realtor like, they can't be salesy, they can't be
Right.
like, hey, it has to be like, I'm just thinking off the cuff here, like, hey, I saw you're looking online, would it be helpful if I sent you some neighborhoods that people love living here in the Boise area that fit your budget? Would that be helpful? Or,
Yeah.
like one of the things that we send out every Monday is I call it the first kiss email because it's kind of like, you're putting yourself out there. It's just a weekend recap email, but it's like, hey, lead, hope you had a great weekend. This past weekend, I did X, Y, and Z. But then we insert a photo of us doing that. So we're
Yeah.
kind of like putting ourselves out there so we can start being that likable agent for them so they can start building this like trust factor with us because we all know people do business with people they know,
If
like,
they
and
trust.
trust. So
Yeah.
we want to take away, we have our business headshot going across every, property alerts every day, but they get that personal photo of us either with our kids or on a date with my wife if she's feeling pretty and is open for a
Yeah.
picture, or mountain biking, whatever. But it gives them the opportunity to be like, okay, I think I like him, or I think I like her. Like, okay, maybe I'll email him back and
Yeah.
tell him what our situation is. So that's one thing that we're really consistent on with our leads, is just making sure that, we're putting ourselves out there. We're going in for that first kiss, it might be a little awkward at first, but then once you start doing it and sending these out, it's just like game changer. The responses we get from our leads are just like, holy cow, they tell us
Yeah.
everything, like why
Yeah.
they're moving, what hospital, what do we have these doctors in Boise. It's just amazing.
The
So
relatability, that's such a good point. It brings me back to Tim Brahim. I went to a class, and this is 05, 06, like a long time ago. And he would send a newsletter, and there'd be pictures of his family, him doing, I think he was a hiker. I can't remember, biker. I don't know. But it's a newsletter, and it had all these pictures of personal things on it with his kids and everything. And that was really like a staple in his business, because to your point, people want to work with people that they feel connected to. And that's how it was after the crash for me. And that's how my team mandate came to be a thing, not because of an egomaniac. Trust me, I'm like you. I don't, the success makes the noise. The words don't mean much if you can't really be helpful to human beings to help them get their home loans. So, but at the time, so many people were worried about the banks and big banks and that their emotional feeling about that they really wanted a human connection. And I don't think that's changed. I think that even with AI and tech and everything we have, I think people really do want that interpersonal connection with somebody that's going to help them buy their home, because home is safe. Home gives security. Homes are so important to people. And so I love that you guys are incorporating that, you know, making your relatability as part of your plan. I think that that's so brilliant.
oh man, I mean, you're spot on. Like, people are starving for that human connection right now. Everyone wants to be anonymous, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to
Yeah.
hide behind the machine, which is cool. Like, I get that. Like, I don't answer my phone all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like, we need that human connection. And I'm seeing that right now with these underdog lunches. Like, people are coming and they are wanting to connect, and they want to get together. And I
Yeah.
think this is where we're moving, this more like analog, like type of get-togethers, where people are going to start making money off of like these running clubs, or just people are going to, just because they want that
Being
human
together,
connection. So,
just
yeah,
connecting.
yeah,
Because you're getting connection, but it's not human connection. You're seeing life play out on a device versus in real life. And your underdog lunches is kind of a new thing you've started, where, right, newer anyway, and you're
yes,
inviting people to come out, cost them nothing, to
yeah.
connect with other humans in their community, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's I just got tired of my on my feet. I just got so many I don't know. There's a couple things that happened, but one of the things was like I just saw a lot of restaurants just starting to close up in our town,
Yeah.
and I just like, man, that's hard, because people are putting their hearts and dreams into these places. And I just looked at myself and I just thought, well, what am I doing to help them? Can I do anything as Greg, not realtor Greg, just Greg as a human? Can I do anything to help them?
Yeah.
And so I just started thinking about my brand and go Idaho. And my heart goes out to the underdog, because I feel like I'm an underdog. Moving here, I was an underdog. I knew no one, and so and I've always rooted for the underdog. Like March
Yeah.
Madness, I'm
I
always
love
going
that
for the
too, right?
Cinderella.
Yes.
Like, I will always go for the underdog. And so I just was like, man, you know what? Like, let's find these businesses, these restaurants that just are just dead, that are
Yeah.
doing good, that have good food,
They
all this
have
stuff.
great food, great humans running them. They do have a
Yeah.
dream, and then you're going out and supporting them and encouraging folks to come out. And you're not charging anybody for lunch. You're just saying, "Come on out on me and come out and
Yeah.
enjoy this great restaurant," and trying to drum up business for them. And I love it that you call the underdog. I'm always rooting for the underdog because Boise State for a long time and most times is the underdog in the world of football. And I went to Boise State. I graduated from there, and so we were always overlooked for a long, long time. And so yes, I'm with you. I'm always like, forgive me, but if it's Alabama and Oregon, whoever's ranked worse, I'm cheering for. I don't really care. I just want to cheer for the underdog in this situation. So I am with you on that, friend. So talk to me about, so you've kind of evolved as far as, you're running your team, you're running Go Idaho, you're giving back to your community in multiple ways, which I love. You have a family, a busy family, and you're also coaching agents around the country, right? I mean, you wear lots of hats, friend. So talk to me about just advice you're giving right now to agents when you meet with them about in your coaching program.
Well, what I'm learning right now, a lot of agents, I shouldn't say what I'm learning because I think agents have always been this way. They've just been a little lazy, right? Agents are lazy. And it's kind of speaks to what you're doing, Mandi, is if you just do the boring stuff every single day in your business, you will be so successful. But we always look for something different. We always look for something that can shortcut us or can do something. And so when I am meeting with an agent, whether in the US or in Canada, and I'm looking at their business, the first thing I want to know is like, hey, what are their activities looking like? Are you spending an hour a day in your database? Are you working those cold leads? Are you working those warm leads? Are you working your hot leads? How often are you sending text messages out? And the biggest complaint amongst realtors and probably, I don't know, maybe lenders, you might be hearing this, is all the spam blocking that, with the phone numbers and stuff that people have. Like, you just cannot get connected with people. So, for a lot of realtors who are doing a lot of Google ad spend and PPC, lead gen, stuff like that, it's a huge frustration because you just can't connect. And so what I teach is a lot of like texting and a lot of like, hey, how can you get around that to make you have these conversations that are consistent, but are allowing you to still be authentic enough where it's not AI, because AI, a lot of the states now, especially in California, it will tell you that you're being texted by AI. So, so some of the services that offer the texting or the AI, chatbots and stuff, the consumer sees that it's from AI and they will unsubscribe. So it's tricky right now. But one of the things that I just really focus on with the agents I coach is like, let's just make sure that you are carving out an hour to an hour and a half a day, making your calls or texting or working, and we build workflows so that you're not doing the same thing over and over. So, Monday through Friday is going to look different, but you're going to hit everyone in your database once a week. And it's going to be good contacts. And so these people are going to start connecting. And for me, it's about sifting out. So I do a lot of coaching for the online lead gen. That's what I do. And so when I'm getting with agents, I want them to sift through and sift out bad leads right away, because you only need 30 to 40 solid buyers or sellers in 1 year to make your ROI and to make it worth it. And so a lot of agents, they have 900 leads or 800 leads and they think, oh man, I don't have anything closing. But really, if they just focus on finding 15 paycheck ready leads who are going to close in the next 0 to 90 days, and that's all they're focused on, and for that 30 days is to find those 15 people, they're going to get off that commission roller coaster and they're just going to start closing consistently, because life happens. Like, if you have 15 people who are going to transact in the next 0 to 90 days, and 2 of those people have a life event where either, their landlord, if they're a first-time home buyer, makes them a sweet deal and they decide to rent for another year. Okay, now you don't have 15, you have 14 paycheck raise. Or maybe one person, gets sick and can't make a move. You're still okay. You still have a pipeline. But a lot of realtors just get focused on, hey, I've got one good buyer, they're a first-time home buyer, and that's all they focus on. And then when that deal falls apart because their landlord made them a good deal, now they're just like, oh, why am I in real estate? Why am I spending all this money? Like, So
it is it's emotional roller coaster too. It's not just a financial one. lose if you've got one good buyer or loan on our side and you lose that loan or you lose that buyer, it is pretty crushing emotionally. And so I think that I think all of the things you're saying is so wise, because if you consist, and the word is consistently, right? And those folks that hired you want somebody to be accountable to. They want it like I did, a trainer that tells you, okay, you're going to do this many reps of XYZ, and you're going to not eat those, Thin Mints, man. You're not going to eat those anymore. And the popcorn you ate at the movies is no bueno. I mean, it's the same thing, right? Sometimes we need an accountability partner to tell us, hey, you need to get your reps in or whatever. And so your encouragement is, if you're going to be in the lead gen spend space, and that's outside of your database, so you're time blocking for your database in addition to time blocking for your leads that your ROI, getting your acquisition in. Don't stop at the one buyer. Don't get hyper focused on that one lead that wants to buy now, because you will be depressed if they don't, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then you also have those buyers who'll ghost you completely. They'll say, hey, we're coming to Boise in 2 weeks. And so you get all stoked and you just start mapping out their whole route and finding them houses. And then poof, you don't hear back from them, So yeah, it's a mental game, like you mentioned. It is tough. But one thing that's great about our day and age that we're working this is, it used to be where the best call time was a certain time of day, when you could catch people on the road going to work or catch people. Man, today what I found is it really doesn't matter when you can connect, because people are so much more mobile.
Yeah, after COVID, right? That was a good thing that came out of COVID, I guess.
Yeah. So when we send out our mass texts, like, it doesn't matter, because people will respond based off how important you are in their life. So you can send out, if your schedule allows you to be in your database from 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning, great. As long as you're doing that every day and that fits your schedule, awesome. Because people will text you back, right, maybe at 10:05, but maybe they'll text you back at 4:30 when they have a moment and they can reply back. That's what's great about working database and working leads now today versus back then, when you only had that finite time where you could get a hold of people before or after work.
Yeah, that's such a good point. You have so many more medias in which you can chat with people that it does make a difference. So circle back to social. So as an agent, is there a social media that you feel like you must be on? There's Facebook, which my kids say is, I'm old if I use the Facebook, and Instagram, which younger people use. And then of course, Snapchat and TikTok. And I think there's several others. I think, I don't know. I can't live in all of them because I would never work. I don't know. I would doom scroll all the time. So, but what are you telling folks when it comes to social presence?
Oh man, first of all, I don't think you have to be on social to be a successful realtor.
I love that.
I don't think you have to do anything like that. I think you can connect in such a different way that fits you. So I think just look at yourself and what are your strengths, because you can, maybe if you're a strong writer, you can go onto Substack and you can write. And maybe that's how your audience finds you, is up on Substack. And that's your forte. That's what your strength is. So maybe that's the app or that's the social platform that you're on, but it's not visual. But yeah, I mean, I think I've always said, just pick what you use the most and start with that. And don't go crazy. Just be yourself, because the more authentic you are, that's what's going to come across. And people want to be real with you. So they like the goofy, they like the fun, they like to know who they're dealing with. They don't want the fake. They don't want all that stuff, in my opinion.
Well, and so you bring up a really good point. So you're like, okay, if you don't love social, don't be on social. I think you need to have some kind of presence. And if you are going to post more regularly, because if you post in 2022 and then go ghost mode, you might as well shut your account down, because then people go Google you and then they see that you haven't posted for a long time. And then they're like, are they even in business anymore? Right. So I think that if you're, my advice is, if you're going to have it, make sure that you're posting on a regular. But I like that you're like, hey, if that's not where you want to be. And I've seen many loan officers that don't really have a social presence and they crush life. And, the other areas they're doing great at. But when you're coaching agents, do you say, you know, you need X amount of buckets where you get your business from? Like you mentioned database, you mentioned buying leads, you mentioned, you know, we've talked about social. So those are kind of three different strategies. Community involvement maybe is another strategy in order to gain business. What's your coaching advice when it comes to that for agents?
Yeah. So each agent is completely different, you
Yeah,
know, and
true.
so I try and do it really customized to them. Like there's this one gal in Texas, Sherry. She's 72 years old. She doesn't do anything but the rodeos. Like she markets to rodeos and all that stuff, and she makes a ton of money during the rodeo season, which was just this last little while. And so we talked about how she can leverage more with her text responders off the rodeos, maybe putting something inside the arena that, you know, while people are waiting in between the events, they can text to get their home valuation or something like that, where she can lead gen from the audience that's in the rodeos. So it's just you have to have leads coming in every single day, in my book. So whether that's at the rodeo, whether that's if you're a good connector, if you just know people in business and you can come in and talk to a business owner and say, hey, you know, I'd love to, you know, buy your customers coffee for a year. If they would buy a house through me, can we work out something where I could put a flyer in your business that says, hey, you know, coffee on me for 1 year, if you go through Team Mandi and Greg Langhaim to buy your house, or something like
Yeah.
that. You know, if you have business connections, if you're a networker, like it just really just depends. But you have to have multiple streams of lead flow coming in, because if you're heavy on one thing, you're going to be lagging on the other, and that's just going to be a nightmare. That's going to be a
Well, I love
nightmare.
that. And the thing about the gal with the rodeo, which I think is fantastic example, is that she speaks rodeo. I mean, if she loves it like that, I know because my father-in-law is a rancher, and you better be able to speak horse, cow, or black and white dogs, because that is what they've got out there, right? And so I love that she's gonna work with people that are in the same, that love what she loves, right?
Yeah.
She's gonna love helping them find a horse property or what have you. Um, and so to your point, she's gonna go find her tribe of clients that meet that are aligned with her. And I think that sometimes we get so hyper focused on being all things to all people that we miss opportunity because we aren't focused on our tribe of who we connect with most, right? I don't know. What's your thoughts?
No, you're 100%. There, a gal in Kentucky hired me just to brand her. And she said, Greg, I am so sick and tired of real estate. I am done. If I have to hold another open house, I'm going to lose my mind. And we said, okay, you know, and I hate asking realtors this question. I hate asking people this question because it's so vague. I'm like, well, you know, what are your interests? Like, what do you like to do? Because let's build your business around that. And she's like, oh, I don't know, you know. And so she finally figured out, she's like, you know what I'm really passionate about, Greg? And I'm like, what? And she's like, end of life care for horses. And I'm like, end of life care for horses? She's like, I just feel like horses should die naturally in a pasture. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So anyway, so we started building her around that. And so she started a private Facebook group that just talked about this. It's just awareness. She started meeting with vets about end of life care, just educational type stuff. But she would sprinkle into her little private Facebook group, you know, equestrian property. She didn't get away from real estate altogether, but she just changed her focus on her interests, but still tied it into real estate at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So this started to grow her really quickly because it was a passion of hers. She could speak it very eloquently and it enthusiastically. She got excited about it. So when she'd go out and talk in the community about her passion, it just flowed. And so now she becomes one of the higher producing equestrian real estate agents. And when she has a team, a buyer slot open up on her team, she gets applications because people who buy horse property have money, and those buyers agents want to be on her team now to sell
And now she
equestrian
loves real
property.
estate again.
She loves it because she is now not even, it just business just falls in her lap because her focus is just on really her passion, end of life care for horses. So that was like, that was probably the
Wow.
hardest one I've had to work with in a long time on branding, because it was so out of the box for me. And like thinking about how we can really position her to start this momentum for her to get to where she is now, which is awesome.
Wow. I love that story so much. And I think sometimes we make this business so complicated. And
Oh, come
she
on.
went back to what she loved. And then as a result of that, her business flourished as a result of just loving end of life care for animals. And who knew? I mean, I wasn't sure where you were going with that
I
one.
know.
I was like, where are we going here? I don't know. I don't know if you can tie that back to real estate. So good job, coach. I mean, you did something special with that one. That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
What else are you seeing in the market as we move into, AI, or I feel like the human connection is still so important because
It is.
deals, loans, purchases are more complicated, I think, I've seen them in my 30 years in this business.
Yeah, I just think people are more impatient, because they
That's
want
true.
everything so much faster.
Faster.
They want the closing process faster. They want approvals faster. They want everything so much faster because chat will just give you answers right away, So I do think that, when I think people still appreciate the service we give them. I still think as long as you're providing really great customer service, people are still going to appreciate having a realtor and a good lender. I really do. I don't think that, you hear stories about how we're going to get replaced, whatever, but I don't know. I just go back to the human side of it, the heart, as realtors and lenders, as crazy as this business makes us sometimes, something fills our heart when we close that deal or hand them the keys and that we get the
Yeah.
notification that something's funded or recorded. Like, a part of that, our hearts get filled. And that's what makes us who we are. That's what makes us good lenders and realtors and makes us get up every day
Yeah.
to get on the phones, to grind, to cry,
Yeah.
to, what are we doing? It's because that little piece of our heart gets filled when we help. And I think as long as we lead with our heart, and whether we do good in a community, we try our best every day, man, I don't think that we can get replaced very easily with technology because people feel that, and that's that
Yeah.
connection that people want.
Yeah.
So that's
Absolutely.
what we try for.
So, my friend, two last questions for you before I let you go. But one is, I I want to ask you about work-life balance because you kind of hinted on it. I have my boys and my kids watching me do my YouTube channel from their bunk beds. But and your wife is awesome, and she's very, very supportive, and that kind of keeps your family rocking and rolling. But you wear a lot of hats now. I mean, you're running your Go Idaho on this side. You got your YouTube channel. You're helping buyers. You're helping listings. You're now coaching agents across the country. You just like flip on any hat. And I think for people like us and our personalities, we need multiple streams to have our creative juices
Yeah.
go. But
Yeah.
how do you balance it all?
I don't, I wish I knew. I don't
Yeah.
think there is balance. I think we just do our best. One thing I've really tried to prioritize is just when I'm home, I try and put my phone away. I think that's probably been the biggest thing for me with when my kids are home, and I'm home at dinner or whatever. If I get a moment with them, I put the phone away and I'm present. I think just even if it's for 20 minutes, even if it's for 10 minutes, me being present and hearing them talk about their day at school, showing up for a game, talking with my wife and just hearing her day, and acknowledging her feelings, that to me, I think is the best I can do, for now, right? That's
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
trying. But I think we try, and we're like ducks in a pond, right? We're trying to we're calming that, but we're paddling like crazy underneath the water. But I don't think I can find balance. It's always going to be this way. But as long as if I'm home or if I'm with my family, I try and put the phone in the back seat of the car, or something where I can just be listening and having
Focus
conversation.
on them. When you're
Yeah.
with them, you want to focus on them. I love that. And then this will be an easy one. what on your hardest days in this business when you want to pull your hair out, you
Yeah.
give that example like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm crying and I'm pulling my hair out and I'm laughing and I've got all these emotions, right? What's your why on your hardest days in this business? What keeps you moving forward? And I probably know the answer, but you tell me what your answer is.
Well, so maybe I haven't, maybe I've shared this, maybe I haven't with you. For me, so my grandpa grew up in a mobile home,
Mm.
and or not, he didn't grow up in a mobile home. I just remember him going and visiting him in his mobile home. And to the day he died, he always had these ideas. Oh, I should try this. I should do this. If I did this, then I could do this. It was all these ideas that he never did.
Did.
It was
Oh,
always talking about doing something, and he never executed on them. I never saw it, at least. And I never want to do that. I never want to be that person who my kids see me being like, Dad never tried these. Like, he never swung for the fences. He never tried to hit that grand slam. I
yeah.
always want them to see that their dad swung every
Yeah.
time, even
Yeah.
if I struck out.
Yeah.
So that's my why.
I love that so much. I thought it might be your kids, but I love that you're watching, watching your grandfather and then being a student of his, essentially watching him and knowing that you're okay failing forward as long as you went for it and your kids can see you do that. And I think that that is just such a genuine, awesome why that on your hardest days when you want to pull your hair out or cry and be in fetal position, that keeps you going. And you're like, I am still going to move forward, and that no will get me a yes in the future. And those of us that survive this business for a long, long time understand that one no should not stop you. Get a lot of no's because somewhere in there you're going to get a yes. And those yeses compound. And like Greg said, if you have 900 leads, try to find 14 nuggets in those 900 clients or leads or prospects or whatever you've got. And then you have a pipeline. And then you don't have a pipeline problem when one falls out, like you said. And so that, I think on that, I'll close with that. But Greg, as always, you're a beautiful human being, and I'm grateful to know you. And thank you for all you've done for me and just being my friend and showing up when I asked you to. So I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mandy. You're the best. I love you.
Okay. Love you too, buddy. See you.